Hello, hello, this is Chris Bakke from Games Preview with a quick look at The Big Easy. Okay, so this is The Big Easy, and this is actually part of the Deadlands Noir RPG from Pinnacle Entertainment, so if you see any familiarities, that's what's going on here. The short version of the story, the year is 1935. Famous singer Dixie Holiday has been found murdered in a back alley. She was a popular attraction on the New Orleans nightclub circuit, but she had nearly as many enemies as she had friends. She'd stepped on her fair share of other entertainers in her search for fame, and there were rumors she had ties to voodoo and the occult in her past. The cops were out of leads, but the story is the talk of the town. Every professional gumshoe and amateur sleuth is trying to make a name for themselves by solving the crime. So you're here to solve Dixie Holiday's murder, basically. It ain't just fun and games, though. Plenty of folks who don't want their dirty laundry aired are more than willing to throw a nosy detective under the bus. So don't go poking around dark corners without expecting to see some weird things going on here. So let's look a little closer at some of the cards here. These cards here are the private investigators you'll be playing in the game. This is Jean Laveau, you are the grifter. This is Walter Gordon, you're the patent scientist. This is Miles Wallace, you're an actual private detective. And this is the dilettante heiress, Catherine Leheris. So there are three neighborhoods in the game. We have the Uptown neighborhood, we've got the French Quarter neighborhood, and the Downtown neighborhood. And these location cards correspond to those neighborhoods, and those will be in the main gumshoe deck. So the main deck in the game, which the game calls the Gumshoe deck, is made up of several types of cards. We've got the location cards, which we've already talked about. You'll go here to find clues, basically. We've got the equip cards, which basically give you some different things that you can equip as weapons, as devices, whatever. And then we have the metal cards. These are the only kind of cards that can be played out of turn, and basically they let you kind of mess with the other detectives. We also have some legwork cards, which actually let you kind of move around and do some other stuff, and you can only play these on a specific portion of your turn. So that's the main deck, the Gumshoe deck. The other kind of cards in the game are these evidence cards, the motive cards, and the suspect cards. And basically you're trying to collect one of each of these to win the game. So just to look at some of the motive cards here: greed, jealousy, accident, self-defense. And some of the suspects include Eileen Johnson, Randolph Wade, Vivian Carrere, and so on. So you're trying to collect one of each of these to win the game. And of course, how could I forget the encounter cards? These have a red border, and these are either a threat or can also be a distraction. These are basically opportunities to be slowed down in your quest to find the truth. They might require you to fight them, to get around them, or whatever, but they do hinder your investigation in some way. Okay, so we're all set here for a two-player game. We've got the Gumshoe deck up here. We've got the Encounters deck here. We've got the neighborhoods here, which the locations will attach to. We've got the suspect, the evidence, and the motive cards here. So when you go to claim one, you'll just take one from the deck. And we've got the two players right here. Two more things to point out here. Every card in this Gumshoe deck, except the locations, has a value, which is shown in the upper right corner of this card here, and some traits here in the upper left. Basically, the card's value helps you determine how effective it is in a contest, and the traits define the general nature of the card. So this hat means it's streetwise, so social skills, connections, and so on, while this star here represents some of the arcane or magical side of the game. This limbic enticement grenade, again, has that streetwise thing, but it also has some muscle, brute force methods. It shows it's a gear, so it's a piece of equipment. And finally, it shows that it's a gizmo, something of a patent science creation. So each card has one or more traits and one value in the corners. So to finish setup, you'll bury cards in the deck until you come across a location, which you'll put adjacent to a neighborhood. In other words, you'll take a location card, you'll put it next to whatever connected neighborhood it's part of. At that point, you'll take your characters, these are just my personal ones, and you'll put these on a neighborhood or location of your choice to start the game. So every turn has 5 phases, and you do get a reference card to kind of help with that. Your first phase is to draw, and basically you're just drawing gumshoe cards to fill your hand. You have 6 cards in your hand unless it's modified for some reason. You have the legwork card, and this is the only time where you play the location, the legwork, or the equip cards from your hand. Once you move, you can move to a location adjacent to your current neighborhood or to another neighborhood. Moving to a location means you have to flip an encounter card, and these things can be nasty. After you've done that, you can then investigate, and basically after dealing with the encounter, you can investigate the location and gain a clue. This is also an opportunity for other players to try to meddle with you. And then at that point, you can discard down to your maximum hand card size and anything else you want to discard. Okay, so first things first, I like the art and the style of this game. I like the direction it's all kind of headed. I thought that it's really cool that each person can come up with their own way of accusing people or coming up with their own answer to a story. There's not one pre-programmed answer you're trying to find. Any combination of the evidence, the suspect, and the motive can all be good. As always, I received a print and play copy of this, and this means it's not the final version you're looking at, which means there's some time for them to work out some issues. The rulebook seems kind of complicated for what the game basically is. A game about moving around the board, finding clues, messing with the other detectives trying to find their own clues and suspects and stuff. I also hope the designers take a little bit more time to consider the size of the elements on the card. Like the icons on this card here and the value in the card. These are basically 1/2 centimeter in diameter apiece. These are really tiny to read, especially with the black on black background. So I hope that a future version of the game has larger versions of these icons. I did like the alternate history version of things. You know, it is 1935, it is a noir sort of game, but how many games from 1935 feature an invisibility spray or a matter disruptor? You know, these are pretty cool sort of technological gadgets that you get to have in a game you never would have had in real life. At the end of the day, the people that are going to like this are people that like to have a slightly heavier sort of game without wanting a lot of the bulk. You know, this is really just cards and a few markers, so it's not a huge game, but it builds a huge world. This has been Chris Bakke from Games Previewed. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe down below. Take care.